Okay, I'd like to bring the Upper Moreland Township regular board meeting for April 1st, 2024 to order. The first thing would be a moment of silence. Please keep in your prayers Kathleen Christiers, our secretary's father, passed away last week. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First announcement will be this board met in an executive session last Monday for personnel matters. Roll call. Matt, if you would, please.
Ward 1, present. Ward 2,
Present.
Ward 3, present. Ward 4,
Present.
Ward 5,
Here.
Ward 6,
Here.
Ward 7.
Here.
Mr. President, all commissioners are present.
Okay, next, we have two presentations for the police force. If Chief Block would come up to present those.
Good evening, President Manufacturers. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be before the board this evening to recognize two of our detectives. At this time, I have Lieutenant Kelly, Lieutenant Ruddle, and Detective Sergeant Todd Smith on my left. And I'm going to ask Detective Frank Gallagher to come up to the right. He's going to be here. Over there. Can you get outside? Thanks. So these were two very extensive investigations that occurred in 2023. And that's why we're here this evening to recognize first Detective Frank Gallagher, and then after that, Detective Vince Small. So this starts for Detective Gallagher back on the morning of Saturday, February 18, 2023, which was over a year ago, where we received a call of a robbery at the Luke Oil located at 3401 Westmoreland Road. Whereas Detective Francis Gallagher responded to the scene and was assigned to lead the investigation, Detective Gallagher immediately shared the description of the suspects in their vehicle with the surrounding jurisdictions. Whereas Detective Gallagher and detectives from the Upper Dublin Police Department located and recovered the suspect's vehicle, which had been abandoned in Dresher, it was determined that the robbery suspect stole a different vehicle from that location and fled the area after he committed the crime in Upper Moreland. Whereas Detective Gallagher forensically processed and recovered the vehicle and obtained evidence that linked the occupant to the robbery that occurred in Upper Moreland Township. Detective Gallagher prepared and executed search warrants with detectives from outside jurisdictions. These search warrants resulted in the development of several suspects, but more importantly, eliminated innocent suspects. Whereas Detective Gallagher was able to process DNA evidence which identified a suspect in the robbery, Detective Gallagher was able to interrogate this suspect who confessed to the Luke Oil robbery and numerous other robberies across several jurisdictions. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Upper Moreland Township Board of Commissioners commends Detective Gallagher for his investigative excellence, which resulted in the arrest of this violent offender, resolved on this first day of April, 2024. And as I stated before, a lot of time and effort went into this investigation, and as a result of Detective Gallagher's wherewithal, we were able to solve this crime and bring that perpetrator to justice. Well done, congratulations. This time I'd ask Detective Vince Small to come up to the podium, please. Yeah, we have another home invasion and robbery that Detective Small was assigned to. And again, as we saw the theme on the first commendation this evening. And the second one, you'll see it well. We're talking about technology and forensics, which helps these detectives solve some of these cases. So I'll draw everybody's attention to the evening of Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, where officers from the Upper Moreland Police Department responded to a robbery home invasion on York Road. 3 suspects had taken a large sum of money from the victim, Whereas Detective Vincent Small responded to the scene, photographed, and forensically processed the apartment, which included processing for DNA. Detective Small also conducted an in-depth interview with the victim. Whereas Detective Small was able to obtain social media communications between one of the offenders and the victim. Detective Small then executed several search warrants on social media providers for account information and content. Whereas Detective Small, as a result of the executed search warrants, was able to identify one of the suspects. Detective Small was able to interview and identify the suspect and review the contact of that suspect's cell phone, which yielded additional evidence. Whereas during the next 6 months, Detective Small continued to develop information on the suspects and recovered cellular data as well as social media content. As a result of his investigation, 3 suspects were identified, arrested, and charged with robbery and related offenses. Whereas Detective Small, through an exhaustive, thorough investigation, was able to identify and arrest 3 robbery suspects, providing justice and closure to the victim of this violent crime, and thereby preventing these offenders from committing additional crimes within the communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Upper Moreland Township Board of Commissioners commends Detective Small for his investigative excellence in the summer of 2023. Resolved this first day of April 2024. Well done. Congratulations.
We'll do pictures one at a time, but first I'd like to say the Commendation for Merit Award for Detective Francis Gallagher states, whereas on the morning Saturday, February 18th, 2023, the Upper Moreland Police responded to a robbery at Luke Oil located at 3401 Westmoreland Avenue, whereas Detective Francis Gallagher responded to the scene, was self-assigned to lead the investigation. Detective Gallagher immediately shared a description of the suspects and their vehicle with surrounding jurisdictions, whereas Detective Gallagher began the forensic process of the crime, which included securing surveillance footage and processing the DNA, whereas Detective Gallagher and detectives from the Upper Dublin Police Department had recovered the suspected vehicle, which was abandoned in Dresher. It was determined that the robbers stole a different vehicle from that location and fled the area, whereas Detective Gallagher forensically processed the recovered vehicle and obtained evidence and leaked the occupant of the robbery that occurred in Upper Moreland. Detective Gallagher prepared and execute search warrants with detectives from outside jurisdictions. The search warrants resulted in development of several suspects, but more importantly, eliminated innocent suspects. Whereas Detective Gallagher was able to process DNA, which identified in suspect in the robbery. Detective Gallagher was able to interrogate the suspect, confused Luke Oil robbery, and numerous other robberies across the jurisdiction. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Upper Moreland Township Board of Commissioners commends the detective for the investigative excellence which resulted in the arrest of the violent offender. I just wanted to say that's from us. That statement, and we really do appreciate the work that your whole department does. And then I will just jump down real quickly. The commendation for merit awarded to Detective Vincent Small on the plaque, it actually reads, whereas the evening of Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, officers from the Upper Moreland Police Department responded robbery, home invasion on York Road. 3 suspects were taken a large sum of money from the victim, whereas Detective Vincent Small responded to the scene, photographed and forensically processed the apartment, which included processing for DNA. Detective Small also conducted in-depth interview of the victim, whereas Detective Small was able to obtain social media communications between one offered offender and the victim. Detective Small then executed several search warrants on social media provided for the account information and content. Whereas Detective Small, as a result of the executed search warrants, was able to identify on the suspect. Detective Small was able to interview the identified suspect and review the content of the suspect's cell phone, which was yielded additional evidence. Whereas during the next 6 months, Detective Small continued to develop information on the suspect, recovered cell phone data that was well in the immediate of the media content. As a result of the investigation, the 3 suspects are identified, arrested, and charged with robbery and related offenses. Whereas Detective Small, through investigation, was able to identify and arrest the 3 robbery suspects, providing justice and closure to the victim of the violent crime and thereby preventing these offenders from committing additional crimes. And that is from the board. And I would say thank you very much. And I know it takes a whole police department to get things done, but I commend both of you for your actions leading to these incidents. So thank you very much. If you would like to take pictures of your officers first, as we filter down, and then we'll do the commissioners individually.
While they're coming forward, Commissioners, just to reemphasize, we appreciate all the support that the board provides to the police department. And if you recall, for 2023, it was a busy year where we experienced 15 robberies in the township. Between the patrol division and our detective CID unit, 13 of those 15 robberies were cleared by an arrest. So that's the commitment that our people make to keep the township safe.
Command stand. Chief, where are you? Okay. What's your?
Right back to it.
Not taking them yet. I just wanted to get. Here we go. We're good. Yep, we got it. We're good. Very good.
Okay, Next on the agenda, we have public hearing 1967 to receive public comment regarding a conditional use application submitted by ATR Logistics LLC for a vehicle impound lot at 1750 County Line Road. Sean, if you take this from
Yeah,
Chris.
could you make a motion to open the public hearing?
Okay,
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
okay.
Community contact? Community contact?
Go first, any discussion from us? Anybody have a problem opening it? Anybody in the public have a problem opening this? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Abstain? So moved.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McFatrick. What I'm going to go ahead and do is mark some exhibits for the record, so we have them. T1 will be a copy of the advertisements of this public hearing in our newspaper general circulation on the 17th and the 24th of March. T2 will be an application for this conditional use. T3 will be the recommendation of the Montgomery County Planning Commission dated February 9th. T4 will be a copy of the Gilmore review letter dated March 21st, 2024. T5 will be a copy of the APA's recommendations dated 3/21/24. Also, too, just wanted to say my Alex Baumler from my office reached out to Ms. Harper, the applicant's attorney, earlier today, and just wanted to be clear that the applicant was going to, I know after talking to Commissioner McFatrick earlier and hearing from members of the board and also reviewing our various planning agencies' letters, the three areas were important to several of the people that reviewed this application. One would be the opaque fencing of the property, 2, the paving of the parking lots and storage areas, and 3, the adjustments of the layout of the parking area to allow for proper circulation and access of emergency vehicles. When Mr. Baumel from my office reached out to Ms. Harper, she agreed that that her client would be amenable to reasonable conditions reflecting those concerns of our planning agencies if the board issues any kind of decision order related to this case. Because this is a conditional use hearing, the Board of Commissioners is sitting akin to the zoning hearing board, meaning they're a quasi judicial body. So wanted to see, was anybody here, anybody's going to be able to comment on this, but wanted to see, is anybody requesting what's called party status? Party status would be that you would have the opportunity to call witnesses yourself or cross-examine any witnesses that Ms. Harper may call today. I just wanted to see, is anybody looking for party status? That does not mean you're not able to comment. You can comment as well at the end of the day. Okay, seeing none for the record, I wanted to turn it over to Ms. Harper and see if she wanted to swear in any witnesses.
Sure. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. My name's Kate Harper, and I'm here on behalf of the Lynches, Jim and Christina, and ATR Logistics, which is a towing company, which has been in operation on the site for several years, first as a tenant and then purchased it. The reason we're here tonight is that your ordinance allows in this zone an impoundment lot. Towing's allowed too, of course, but the impoundment lot is a place where you bring the vehicles. You get the call in the middle of the night, there's been an accident, come get these cars off the road. You need to put them somewhere. They're kept there for temporary storage, and then they're usually picked up by the owner or the insurance company or somebody like that. So your ordinance is very explicit that we have to have a paved area for the impoundment, and my client has that and is certainly willing to do that. It also says we have to have a fence with opaque, well, we had a chain link fence, we put plastic through it to make it so that you can't see it from next door. We do have one issue, I'll just be honest about. One of our neighbors is a higher elevation, so our 6-foot fence is not 6 foot on his side. But other than that, we are trying to comply with your ordinance in every way we can. This is Mr. Lynch. I'm going to ask that he be sworn in, and then I'm going to give an offer of proof. Can we do that first?
Sure, yep.
I also have, who's taking minutes? Anybody? Oh.
You have a court reporter right here.
Court reporter, of course. Here you go. Thank you.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you state any place to spell for the board?
James?
State your name, spell for the board.
James Lynch, Lynch.
Okay. I also have just a couple of exhibits. I think you've already seen them. I think they're in your packet for tonight, but I'm going to hand them out and tell you what they are in just a second. Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
So Ms. Harper, if it's okay with you, we'll mark this as A applicant, applicant one.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yep. So it's okay with you, Ms. Harper, we'll mark this as applicant one.
Yes, and I'll just tell you what they are. The first page is an aerial from the Montgomery County Planning Commission. It was the best aerial I could find of the site. So that's why I'm saying, I'm sure you have it in your packets already with the Planning Commission review letter, but the first page is the aerial. It shows in the front is a house where Jim's mother-in-law lives, and in the back is the industrial property, which has several uses, including his towing business and a lot for vehicles. The second page is a plan showing the exact same thing, although not quite as explanatory. In the front, you can see that the house is in the front, and then there are the buildings for the industrial uses in the back. And the last page is showing the area that we have cleared that is paved already for the impoundment, and the plastic that we put in the fence to have an opaque covering, which is one of the requirements of your ordinance. So the other thing I'd like to tell you is that my client is not allowed to operate a junkyard. He doesn't want to operate a junkyard. He just wants a place to put the vehicles that he brings in after an accident. He does towing among other people, the Township Police Department, if they should call him and need his services. And so that's what he does. And he understands that your law requires that he not keep any vehicle for more than 180 days. That's fine with him, okay? He doesn't want to do that, and he wants to comply in all respects with the law. So having explained that, I'm just going to ask Mr. Lynch if he's heard what I explained and if he agrees.
Yes.
Step up to the mic and say it a little louder,
Yes, I heard what she said, and I agree.
okay? So we believe that because this is allowed by conditional use in the small limited industrial district, and we have pledged to uphold everything that's in your ordinance, section 350-110, which spells it out, and which we just went through, we believe this is an appropriate site for an impoundment lot with the towing company that he has. That's our presentation. Do you have questions, or does anybody else have questions?
Okay, yeah, I'll open this up. First, when we say paved, is the entire property paved?
No.
Okay, will any cars be stored other than off of that pavement that is there?
Impoundment cars, you mean, right?
Impoundment cars,
Impoundment cars would be on the blacktop.
okay. I would ask for a condition that the lot be striped, so we know where the vehicles should be located, for the express reason, and it happened next door. If the fire company has to come or something like that, we want to make sure that, you're putting the cars where they can access all the way through. That's just a condition that I think.
So the question you're being asked is, are you willing to put striping around this paved area that you've set aside for the impoundment vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that's for the fire and the police, just to be able to get through if something happens. Next, the only comments I got, Montgomery County Planning Commission, and basically they said the same thing that you had brought up with the fencing. It's 6 foot all the way around, and you measure from your property anyway, not from the neighbor. So you're already 6 foot and opaque, or let's say they can't be readily seen through.
Right.
Okay.
And if you look in the last picture, it shows the black plastic that we put in the fence. It was a chain link fence, and we put the black plastic in to make it opaque.
Okay. From there, that was the main thing that they asked. The concern that I have, and you have been there already, renting.
Since
Before.
2015?
And running the operation. Could you tell me what's on both sides of your property as far as what it's used for?
One side is a tree and towing company that impounds, and the other property is tractor trailers.
Okay,
Gets stored there.
So those are industrial uses like his.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. The property right now, and it is not by code or anything else, well, first, you're not making improvements to the property that would have to go to land development or any other process. Is that correct?
Correct. He's just, right,
Using it as is? Okay.
using it as is and showing that he has the requirements like the paved area and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay, with that, I can't ask for anything else because you're not doing a land development of anything, so we can't do stormwater, we can't ask you to do anything else with it, because it's being used as it is. I'll open up any other commissioner comments, questions?
I was wondering how many cars would fit, impounded cars, and do you have a plan for if that gets full?
How many cars? 20 cars.
Oh.
Really, for it to get full with township tow vehicles? No.
You don't expect it to be full, okay?
How
And-
long do cars stay?
Cars come in, insurance companies then pick them up, and then they go back out.
Within
They go
how
on
much
body
time?
shops. I'd say anywhere from it could be 2 days to, up to a week or two.
Got you. And who's the neighbor at the higher elevation? What do they do? Which one was that?
It's a company that rents out space for tractor trailers. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. And your mother-in-law doesn't object?
No.
Any other questions from the board? With that, anybody on this side of the, let's go this side of the room. Anybody here against, for, whatever would like to speak? Okay, now we'll go to this side. You have to come up, you got to get sworn in, and then you can give us what you'd like to say.
I do. Rob Link, last name is Link, L-I-N-K. I'm his neighbor, the side that has the other impound lot. Is this more about, it's funny because I got the same letter trying to tell us we couldn't do what we did, but about 12 years ago, we came to this board. Ms. Harper was actually the solicitor at the time, and I went through this whole thing. And we got approved with everything was good. So the township acknowledged they made a mistake, rescinded the letter they had sent to us. But my question is isn't there more, aren't we talking about more, getting him that approval for the impoundment lot, but also having multiple uses on top of it? Is that?
Okay,
Let me answer that. We included with our application, so it should be in your packets, a zoning hearing board decision allowing, I believe, 5 or 6 uses on the lot. And my client thought that that permitted his impoundment lot along with his towing business. And it wasn't until Paul Pertel sent him the letter that he realized that he had something else that he had to do. So that's already permitted under the zoning hearing board decision. That was done by the previous owner when he was just a tenant there. So,
and I think,
And that is correct. It was in the packet, and we'll have
Yes.
that marked as T6,
Thank
just so it's clear. Yep.
So how many towing companies can operate out of there if they have this approval for a towing and impoundment lot?
you could have 6 businesses there.
Okay.
That doesn't have to be towing, like
When I
industrial.
went through this, Ms. Harper, and I looked at it, the notes, she recommended only 3 uses. Okay, and she also recommended only a maximum of 10 cars. It's kind of gray because it's 10 disabled cars for, I think, 20 or 30 days in a row. So it's kind of a gray area. But I'm more concerned with I mean, he's a great neighbor, but some of the tenants he has there make it look like a junkyard. So that's, and I thought that's what this was included, and Paul Patel told me it was. So that's, the other uses don't have anything to do with this?
No, because they're already permitted and they have been there. As far as if it is something that is against our code, then Paul could automatically
So then why
write a
did Paul
code thing.
send this email with all the pictures and all this stuff? But
Because
then
you're
never
next-
told anyone he was taking that back?
Because you're next door, they have to send everybody the notice and all that stuff, properties that touch for this hearing.
Okay, so he just made an error, I suppose?
That, at what?
The uses are permitted. Paul obviously went out there.
Yeah.
He inspected the site and took pictures. He was there. He cited him only for the impoundment lot because the other uses were permitted by the zoning decision, which is in your package.
Yeah, and that's a different board that gave all that.
Okay. I was just confused by Paul's email. You know, it made it sound
Okay.
like there was more than just, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't understand why. I don't know. It confuses me that he has to come here for something like that. Like, I don't get it.
Could you repeat what a great neighbor he is?
That's what I'm just saying. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Because
not-
so just for the township to collect another $100?
it's
or-
our,
like,
it's our ordinance.
The ordinance doesn't automatically allow that use, so there's no choice that he has to come and get approval for the use of an impoundment lot.
That's very true. Your zoning ordinance specifically says impoundment, as opposed to other industrial uses, needs conditional use before this board as opposed to the zoning board. So, thank you. And,
Okay,
sorry, we'll get out of the way. You were going to ask if anybody else had something to say.
Good evening, everyone.
Sir, it's not sir, testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Tell me God.
State your name, sir.
Kevin Spearing. I'm a resident of Ward 2. Personal friend of Jimmy Lynch and familiar with his business and location. Small industrial zoning is a very appropriate place for this kind of business. And as it's been identified, the businesses on both sides are practicing similar businesses, and it's a good fit, and it's a good location. As far as the property maintenance of other businesses that operate there, I'm familiar with that also. And when Jimmy was a tenant there, I witnessed some of that. I can tell you that he has done an outstanding job cleaning up the property. He had a bankrupt business that was renting from him or not paying. And, you know, it was a big job to get all that stuff out of there and all cleaned up. So he conducts a ethical business, and he is part of our duty tow in the township. And I strongly recommend that you grant conditional use for this business. Thank you.
okay. No questions. Do you want to even just state what you have to prove for conditional use? It's really the welfare, safety, health, and welfare.
Right, if nobody else proves that there's a danger to health, safety, and welfare, and we meet all the requirements of your ordinance, and he's certainly willing to do that and had stated that under oath, then we should be entitled to it. And I noticed it wasn't on your agenda to approve tonight, but, yeah.
Well, I would suggest you, after the closing of the hearing, you have 45 days to render a decision. What I would suggest is our office can draft an opinion and an order, and then we can approve that at a future meeting, maybe next month.
Yep.
That's usually what we do.
Okay,
Yeah,
and I've explained that to my client, that you have 45 days to make a decision, but he was spoiled by the APA because that went through like that, so.
Well, I would anticipate probably putting it on the May regular meeting agenda.
Yes,
and we'll-
we changed our procedure. We used to vote the same night. Now we have it, so we can think about it if we have to, and if not, but it'll be heard in May.
That's fine. It's
Okay.
just that, you
That's
know, the township is one of his customers, and he wants to do everything right for the township and keep that relationship going.
And once he
Okay?
has started it, and Sean, am I correct? Same as zoning, since he already submitted this, he can keep using it while we're deliberating it.
I'm sure there's not going to be an enforcement action by Mr. Burtett.
Okay.
So also, are you open to a condition that only the, however many striped spaces, that's how many maximum impounded cars that can be there?
Do you understand the question?
Yes, yes.
I mean, I know you don't expect more than that, but
We
just
can
in
always
case.
pave a little bit more, but then I don't want to be disrupting the ground too much either there.
So just so I understand, Commissioner Lockhart, what would you like as a condition, because it's about to be my office that crafts it?
So he's going to stripe it. So
Right.
we want to make sure that the striped spaces, that the number of spaces, that's how many impounded cars can be
Okay.
at the site.
I would only say that when a car gets hit in a crash, sometimes you can't fit it into
Sure.
a 9x18 space or whatever is reasonable. So he's definitely going to stripe off an area for these impounded vehicles, but they may not fit straight in the way they do in your parking lot out here. But he's not going to let's put it this way, your ordinance requires that where he keeps the cars be paved. It is, I showed you that on my exhibit, and he won't go beyond that with the impounded vehicles. Your own vehicles could be somewhere else, understand?
Yes.
Okay,
So that's fine, right?
thank you.
Do you want it in as a condition, or are we okay?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Sean, do you have?
Yeah, I got it.
So
Okay.
we're agreeing that we'll keep the impounded cars on the paved portion. And whether or not we could fit them in each space, I'm not sure, but we will also stripe off the paved portion so that if Paul Bertel comes back to inspect, he can see it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other closing?
No, thank you very much for your attention, appreciate it. Always nice to be here.
Good to see you again.
So motion to
with that-
close the hearing? Yeah.
Do I have a motion to close this hearing? Second. We have a motion and a second. From here, this will be on the agenda for our May full board meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. Okay, next we'll get into the regular meeting. Public comments, non-agenda items only. Okay, treasurer's activity report.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's activity report for March 2024.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Okay, second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion approved.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the meeting on March 4th, 2024.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second? Second. We have a second. Any discussion from the board?
None for
Any
me.
discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion approved. Now we're into committee recommendation, Community Development Committee. Let me see, first, code enforcement, we have none. As far as zoning, we had 2 zoning things I just got. Zoning board for the 11th. Okay, on April 11th, 2024, 7:30 in this room, there'll be a petition from Pennypack Ecological Restoration Trust for the property at 0 Edge Hill Road, Huntington Valley. They are coming in for 4 placement of 4 signs for awareness signs for the property. Public hearing 24-12, a petition of Victor Billa, property located at 26 Church Street. Applicant seeks to convert an existing semi-detached dwelling into a 2-family dwelling. They will be in for that with 2 paved parking spaces. Basically, they want to switch a house to a duplex. Okay, nothing in land development. List of, okay, the zoning, we're good. Motion to approve resolution 2024-06, granting a request for Pennypack Ecological Restoration Trust for the waiver of a zoning board application and sign permit fees for signage on Zero Edge Hill Road. This is just to waive the fee that they have to go to zoning for these 4 properties. Any questions?
Are you concerned it sets a precedent? I thought you might be. But I don't.
Basically, a governmental agency too, just about, for us, so we'll let that go. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Abstain? Motion approved. Motion to approve the request for Pennypack Isaac for the allocation of township annual contributions and support letters for grant applications. This is, and Matt, is it $6,000 we agreed to give to the Pennypack?
That's correct.
For this? They are purchasing the property. It's basically June fate. They're going to purchase it, and that way it will no longer be used for anything other. I think they're letting the June fate there, but other than that, it'll stay the same, which is what we really
Instead
want.
of being
We don't want
developed.
anybody else to get a chance to buy it. So, anybody else from the board? Anybody from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion approved. Next, the committee recommends motion to approve a memorandum of understanding for historical sign use at Manhattan Bagel, located at 200 North York. Wait, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. This is just a memorandum of understanding, the same as we have for all the other signs that the Historical Commission has put up in the township. It went over, was discussed in committee. Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Motion to approve Bowman's sign service proposal related to the Green Light Go and Traffic Signal Technologies Grant Awards.
Second.
You got a second? Okay, this is something that we had been doing. We got the grant for all the signals to be upgraded. This is only, is this Easton Road or
In York.
just Easton Road, right?
I think it includes some of York as well.
Okay, especially when the intersections that they cross. Okay, this is, we got the grant awards and we just want to follow through with it and proceed and get this project done. Again, discussed in committee. Anybody from the board, any questions?
I just want to point out, that's York and Church, the one I've been
Yeah, there you go.
complaining about,
Good.
which has been fixed.
Finally.
Yeah.
Okay, any public comments? No, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. The committee makes a motion to approve the installation of the safe pathway from Davisville Road and Turwood Road to Pennypack Road. Do I have a
Second.
Okay, we have a second. This is the short, maybe 100 feet from, on the corner across from Turwood Park where Pennypack Road is. It's just to continue a sidewalk from the intersection to Pennypack. A lot of people come down Davisville or Turwood Road and make the right to go back Pennypack to go to the park. So this is just so they don't have to walk on that little 3-foot section with all the traffic moving by them. Anybody else on the board? Questions? Yeah. Public? No? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. The committee makes a motion to approve awarding bid for the 2024 milling to James Morrissey.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. It went out to bid. James Morrissey is the low bidder. This is recommended from Dave Alseer. And anybody from the board have any comments, questions? Anybody from the general public? No? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Committee makes a motion to approve award bidding for 2024 highway materials to Eureka Stone Quarry, Inc. This would be our paving.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. This is actually paving material, so to finish our roads this year. Again, Dave Alseer oversees this, and that's his recommendation too. Anybody from the board, questions? General public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Next, committee makes a motion to approve award bid for the demolition of homes on Lurie Lane and Surrey Lane to GNR Excavating and Demolition.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. These are the properties that were flooded out. They have not been habitable. So we've been trying to get everything together to get this done. This is federal grant money from PEMA that is paying for this. So they'll be torn down and it'll be grass as well as the same as the other properties next to them that we have done in the past. Anybody else on the board? The public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Committee makes a motion to approve authorizing the township solicitor to advertise a public hearing to be set by May 6th on 2024 at 7 o'clock for a conditional use application submitted by KRE Group.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. This was the final phase of Willow Point. This was the fourth building that they did not own the property that they are coming in for apartments. That is, and this is only to set the date for the hearing. Any other questions from the board? General public? Yes.
Question. What exactly the property address is the property address? One property or two?
It's one property. They bought the property. If you look at the apartments now,
Yes.
they bought the industrial property next door to the left.
So it's only one?
It's only one.
It's not the next one also?
No, it's just that one building, and that's where they had purchased it 3 years ago, but after they had gone for everything else. The owner would not sell it, from what I understand, and now he is.
Okay, and at that meeting, May 6th, that's open for public comment and questions?
Yes, that is the same conditional use that we just had earlier. Public can speak on it. Yes, that is what that's for.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Public Health and Safety Committee.
Yes, thank you. The Public Health and Safety Committee has no report for the board tonight.
Okay, thank you. Finance Administration Committee.
Yes, there are no appointments or reappointments tonight. Committee recommends approval of the following checks, beginning with check number 140506 through 140737 for a total of $1,349,028.39. Also escrow fund checks, beginning with check number 9760 through 9771 for a total of $48,810.26. And finally, liquid fuel fund check number 3117 for $91.64.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any questions from the board on any of these? Any questions from the general public? No. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Next, the committee recommends approval to approve Resolution R-2024-07, authorizing notice to bidders for the sale of surplus vehicles. So these are some fire vehicles that are not being used, and it's approval to put them out to bid.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Again, exactly like Cheryl said, we're just selling two of the vehicles that we own, and this is just so they can put it out to bid. Any other questions from the board? From the general public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Next, new business, there is none. That concludes the financing committee.
Okay, Parks and Recreation Committee, Mr. Scull.
Yes, the Parks and Recreation Committee has a recommendation for a approval of the Farmstead Alliance has requested approval to host a fundraising event at Farmstead Park on Sunday, June 2nd, from 5 to 8 p.m. They're requesting to have alcohol, possibly music, and other entertainers at the event.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. This is the same that they do every year. Nothing
Similar.
that, so we've always supported them in this venture, so anybody else have anything on the board about it? I hope it's a great event. All in favor, say aye. Oh, public comment. Okay, no. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, motion passes. Any commissioner comments tonight?
No.
Yeah. Okay, meeting's adjourned.